You're watching Camnet News. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. The top stories on our desk. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI says he can't defame President Edgar Lungu because he respects him. UPND appoints Guy Scott as its chief political advisor. PF Deputy SG MUMBI PHIRI asks why police become numb against party cadres or officials breaking the law. In international news, Mozambique militants accused of beheading children. And in sports news, CHIPOLOPOLO shape up for Fox's hunt. Let's take a breather. Join me shortly for the details.
Your time of spiritual revival and awakening is now. Once again, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilua invites the nation of Zambia to a 2-day conference on the order of Melchizedek with Dr. Francis Miles. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Dates, 19th and 20th of March 2021. Saturday 14 hours to 18 hours. Sunday 09 hours to 12 hours. Make a date with us.
The details. Parents with pupils at Kimasala Primary School in Solwezi District have denied Ministry of Health workers to administer biohazard drugs to their children, suspecting that the drugs could be for COVID-19. Parents say the activity has not come at the right time, as people are allegedly having trust issues with the Ministry of Health following the honeybee scandal coupled with myths of the COVID-19. Here is a report.
Social media abounds with misinformation and the conspiracy theories about the COVID-19 vaccines. Some sources suggest that they can cause autism or are full of dangerous toxins, yet others believe they are a plot to control society. Given the ability of vaccines to prevent diseases and save lives, public health experts say it is important that unfounded beliefs such as these are wiped out. Public health experts around the world have long fought to dispel such myths by educating people with facts. Zambia is equally exposed to social media, and it is not immune to this challenge. Healthcare workers had a tough time to convince the people of Solwezi District on the need to allow their children to be administered with biohazard drug. The parents at Kimasala Primary School in Solwezi District had trust issues with health officials.
Mwisa mkutupokelela ili ofwe tualeta nganilebo naisa na tiyo mkwai na chia ifanta na sandoku iyo na chia ichenefi na chia chitefi mula ndunshi pantu na kwate chanshu upa. Lelo pamulandu wakwe bati imomwaisa na iyi program ya kukabilo kwe bati mulase umwana nangu mupelo muti kumwana uli onse umulandu wakuchita prevent. How can you prevent someone umuntu ushikwete complaint? Mulandu ine pamulandu wakwe bati natukwatako literal information yo into town filena pama media ukweba ati balata mpira kuma teachers ukuba chita immunize
babo kuzika muntu kanga kama kazungu ku America mwinge yuka babe na oke babantu 3 billion bantu abita baba byepi bakwe amba mambo kafapo byotu zinemba we are worthless yoka mbirenga byo bimiti byo babe nakuretabye ketu beno kwibike banne wakana.
Bilharzia is a chronic disease endemic in parts of Africa and South America caused by infestation with blood flukes. Health officials tried their level best to create awareness.
That's the reason why you don't push that prevent. We got guests today that we cannot manage to touch that house at all.
One only hopes misconceptions will be addressed in view of safeguarding the plight of pupils. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
But Health Minister Jonas Chanda has explained that the COVID-19 vaccination program in the country will be administered on a voluntary basis. Dr. Chanda states that government will not force anyone to get vaccinated. He says the vaccination program will be conducted in a cautious, voluntary and phased manner and on a pilot basis, with citizens having to opt in or out of the program based on the information given. Meanwhile, Dr. Chanda says a delegation from the European Union is in the country to share experiences on holding self-elections in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. He says the ministry has been engaging several partners as part of the preparation to hold the elections in the safest manner possible. The minister has also disclosed that the country has in the last 24 hours recorded 3 new COVID-19 deaths with 290 new cases.
In short, there will be no mandatory mass vaccination of citizens against COVID-19 when that time comes. Our efforts to sustain commodity security for the response, the Ministry of Health has secured an additional 237,000 rapid diagnostic test kits with an additional 450,000 expected before the month end. All resources for the response are being decentralized to our regional hubs in the provinces and subsequently to the lower levels of operation so as to ensure adequate stocks in all provinces. In our efforts to sustain reduced transmission and subsequently bring the pandemic to an end, the Ministry of Health has been engaging several partners as part of the preparations to hold the upcoming elections in the safest manner possible. Currently, the European Union is in the country to share experiences on holding safe elections in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. Recorded 290 new cases out of 4,283 tests conducted. That is a positivity rate of 7%. This brings the cumulative number of confirmed cases recorded to date to 85,240. Fortunately, during the past 24 hours, we recorded 3 new deaths from Luapula, from Lusaka 1, Copper Belt 1, and Muchinga Province 1.
National Democratic Congress leader CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI has told the Lusaka Magistrate Court that he can never defame President Edgar Lungu as he is his president, appearing before Magistrate Felix Kauma in a case where he is accused of having said President Edgar Lungu, through businessman Vauden Findlay, uses presidential plane to courier drugs. Mr. KAMBWILI explains that he merely commented on the matter following a request from the members of the public. When the case came up for opening of Mr. KAMBWILI's defense, he applied for an adjournment on grounds that he was unwell. However, Magistrate Kauma denied the application on account that the accused gave the same explanation last time when the case was adjourned. Miriam Kaimba found this report.
National Democratic Congress leader CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI has commenced his defense in a case he is accused of defaming President Edgar Lungu. Opening his defense Tuesday morning, the first words uttered by the NDC leader was that he can never and would never defame his president. The opposition leader, who is also accused of having said President Edgar Lungu, through businessman Vauden Findlay, uses the presidential plane to courier drugs, explained that he merely commented on the matter following requests from members of the public. He testified that on particular attention, there were some letters that different people had written to him relating to drugs, and Mr. Vauden Findlay was mentioned. And some of the requests in the letter was that he comment over the relationship between Vauden Findlay and the Republican president. He told Magistrate Felix Kauma that being a politician, he had a duty of providing checks and balances on government and also speak on behalf of the people of Zambia. The opposition leader testified in his defense that being a taxpayer, he had a right to question how the government utilized the money of this country. Earlier, when the matter was called, the NDC leader applied for an adjournment on ground that he was unwell. However, Magistrate Felix Kauma denied the application on account that the accused gave the same explanation last time the case was adjourned. The opposition leader is, however, expected to appear before court on the 16th of April 2021 to continue with his defense. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Still in court, Consolidated Miners and Allied Workers Union of Zambia President Sumaili Mbewe has been dragged to court for allegedly stealing over 100,000 kwacha from Mawiza Resources Limited. It is alleged that the money was wrongly deposited in the union account by Mawiza Resources Limited, but the said funds were withdrawn by the accused without following procedure. Mr. Mbewe is also accused of having withdrawn the money individually without notifying the union over the transfer. Consolidated Miners and Allied Workers Union of Zambia Secretary General Ruben Momena, during his testifying in court, explained that he was shocked to be visited by police querying over the funds, as there was no record of such money in the union account. Mr. Momena told resident magistrate Chenunda Chiwaula that he was also shocked to see his name on the withdrawal slip, which was signed by Mr. Mbewe, who has now been charged with theft. Mr. Mena clarified that the only money the union was expecting from Mawiza Resources was only subscription fee amounting to 1,500 kwacha and not the said 164,000 kwacha. The matter continues. Patriotic Front Deputy Secretary General PHIRI has condemned the Zambia Police Service for failing to deal with Patriotic Front cadres and officials breaking the law with impunity. Ms. PHIRI is particularly sad to note that the police could not arrest Kabushi Member of Parliament Bowman Lusambo and his Kankoyo member counterpart Brian Mushimba, who breached the COVID-19 guidelines by mobilizing huge crowds in the name of party mobilization and filing in the nomination papers with structures. Ms. PHIRI says the behavior of the two members of parliament is unacceptable and should not be entertained. The police have come under fire for stopping a UPND convoy in Kitwe on grounds that the COVID-19 guidelines did not allow, but on the other hand, allowing the Patriotic Front to do the same act even after stopping them.
With August 2021 nearly approaching, the political atmosphere is getting more charged, with tension being the order of the day. While the country has continued to battle the COVID-19 pandemic, with COVID-19 deaths now standing at 1,167 and 85,240 cases reported since the outbreak, some lawmakers entrusted with power have taken advantage of the situation to breach the law for personal gain. Some of the perpetuators of breaking the law are Kabushi lawmaker Bowman Lusambo and Kankoyo lawmaker Brian Mushimba, who were seen breaching the COVID-19 preventive guidelines by mobilizing huge crowds for campaign on the Copper Belt. The behavior by the lawmakers has, however, not sat well with the Patriotic Front Deputy General Secretary PHIRI, who is now questioning why the Zambian police is sleeping while people have continued to break the law.
We saw with dismay the crowds which our Honorable Member of Parliament, who is a provincial minister in Lusaka, Bowman Lusambo, pulled on the Copper Belt. That's not under the new norm. You as police, what are you doing? Are you scared of arresting us as leaders? We saw the same with our Minister of Education. When we have a high number of people dying from COVID in PHIRI, you go and have such a crowd. Police, help Honorable Kampiongo and save his name. I'm sure he's not issuing you instructions not to arrest us leaders when we break the laws.
The Patriotic Front Deputy General Secretary has insisted that no party member is above the law and that all those found breaking the law should be prosecuted, as the PF will not entertain lawbreakers.
Nobody is above the law, and I challenge you, if you see me as Deputy Secretary General MUMBI breaking the law, come and arrest me. Next time, don't spare anyone, be it Honorable Bowman Lusambo, be it whoever, be it Honorable Brian Mushimba. If he breaks the law, especially over COVID, arrest them so that you show us an example. And I'm sure the people of Zambia are going to have confidence in you. The president has talked over and over again. But police, as you did at the magistrate courts, where you beat our PF members for breaking the law, do the same to us leaders when we break the law.
Mrs. PHIRI has also banned the use of illegal number plates such as ECL and others, and has warned that any party member who goes to the PF Secretariat with such a number plate will be reported to the Zambian police.
Honestly speaking, you know that even as a party we have not allowed anybody to be using a number plate ECL. You let them pass through the roadblocks. You are putting us under unnecessary criticism from our citizens as if we allow illegalities. And to our members, whoever will try to come with a vehicle to the Secretariat with a number plate ECL, it's us as a Secretariat who are going to call the police to come and arrest you.
The opposition have time and again complained that the political ground in the country is not being leveled as those in power are taking advantage of the situation. It is hoped that the message by the Deputy Secretary will be taken seriously to prevent the further spread of the pandemic in the country. Prudence Tota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Meanwhile, a social scientist, Innocent Kolala, is concerned with the segregative implementation of the Public Order Act. Mr. Kolala says the Act in its current form, if well applied, can be used to create a favorable political environment, especially at a time when the country is headed for the general elections. He has since advised the police against abusing the Act, which compels organizations to notify the police by using it as an excuse to prevent political activities of the opposition political parties. Mr. Kolala has reminded the Zambia Police Service on the need to ensure that all political parties are allowed to hold their gatherings without any infringements.
In the electoral cycle, the talk of Public Order Act is always a contentious issue in Zambia, and as the country goes to the polls, discussions on this law are expected to be high. The right to assemble is a constitutional right provided for and guaranteed by Article 21 of the Zambian Constitution. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land, gives life and meaning to any other piece of legislation. But this constitutional provision has always been infringed by the manner in which the Public Order Act is administered. I spoke to Innocent Kolala, a social scientist, to get his perspective on the Public Order Act.
And what you need to do also, because we have given you powers to ensure that you protect me and you protect every Zambian as well as protecting the property of this country. Or what you need to do, you need to go on the ground. Is this place where this person wants to hold this meeting, how safe is it? How secure are the people who are going to go there are going to be? Then upon you verifying and having that understanding, that's when you say, fine, you are free, you can go ahead, and not to say, no, the permission is denied. How is this permission denied? Am I coming to get permission to inform you? Actually, there is even a ruling towards that, and High Court ruling, where it was plainly put it that the police is just a matter of informing.
The right to freedom of assembly is also guaranteed in all major international and regional human rights conventions. The Public Order Act was part of the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 10. Hence, the 4 of Bill 10 meant that the Public Order Act could not be amended ahead of the 12 August general elections. And of course, the time factor came into the picture. But Mr. Kolala believes that it is possible for the police to apply the law fairly during the campaign period.
Coming general election, we are appealing to the police. We are appealing to the security wing that let's live within the realm of law by ensuring that we allow equal playing field, not where this person is saying no, you can, you cannot. Yes, you permission is granted, you permission is not is denied. Whilst they are all both they are doing the same the same program. That should not happen. But with the current leadership of Mr. Kanganja, may I congratulate you. You are doing your level best by ensuring that you offer permissions in line with what the law stipulates.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
The opposition United Party for National Development, UPND, has co-opted former Vice President Guy Scott into its National Management Committee and will serve as party chief consultant. UPND President Hakainde Hichilema says Dr. Scott is an icon who the party can learn from, considering that he once served at the country's highest level. The UPND leader has also appointed Ratoke Emenda as Secretary General, bringing an end to the speculations on who was going to take over from former Secretary General Stephen Katuka. Mr. Hichilema has since challenged party members to begin mobilization meetings ahead of the August general elections. And the UPND chairperson for elections, Gary Nkombo, says his party will not tolerate corruption by those who wish to contest on the party ticket at any level.
The chief consultant, when we feel like we can go there, is Dr. Guy Scott. That's our chief consultant. There's a lot we can learn from him. I am learning a lot from him. And we must learn to respect each other in this community. That man was actually a Republican president. He served as a Republican president. And in our time, we have a way of looking after such people. After August, those who serve the country. And they will represent those that have left us in a way. There is some administrative work we are going to do, because the last announcement is the Secretary General, who is Honorable Ratoke Emenda.
Because we want to clean up this country. Should there be evidence of anyone, this is a serious caution, of bribing officials at whatever level, you and that official will have to meet the consequence. You will be disqualified, the official will be relieved of their duty.
The National Democratic Congress Party faction leader Joseph Akafumba has charged that the UPND alliance is unstoppable because it means well for the Zambian people. Addressing the media in Lusaka Tuesday, Mr. Akafumba says nothing will change their minds, stating that the NDC members would even rather lose the August 12th elections fighting for the well-being of Zambians as opposed to going to the PF alliance. Mr. Akafumba explains that it will be immoral to work with a party that has destroyed the economy. Asked on the recent remarks issued by Mr. KAMBWILI, who accused the UPND of being tribal, Mr. Akafumba says such language has always been in his DNA. Meanwhile, the National Democratic Congress Party Vice President Edward MUMBI has accused Dr. KAMBWILI of intentionally trying to take the whole NDC to the Patriotic Front Party. He has since asked the Zambian people to open their eyes and choose better in the general elections.
After they have constituted these conferences, is to come and say, now we are calling for a convention and we are going to elect the ABCD as leaders. That will not work. As I've said earlier on, even ourselves we would have done it, but we would rather the courts settle the differences that we have. We have made up our position ourselves very clear that Dr. KAMBWILI himself expelled himself. He told us, count me out. I'm not part of this. After I've been in the alliance for more than 3 years, and we respected his wish. Remember, even for a dead man can do a will and say, I want this to be done. Even if it's not in writing, it should be respected. And that's all we did ourselves, is to respect his wish. So the provincial conferences which are being held are a non-starter. We know that right now as we are talking, they are on their way to Solwezi to hold another fake conference. By his remarks yesterday, or the other day, KAMBWILI, he was all along hiding behind a finger. And now he has come out. And he has now come out to state his reason that this is a tribal and a selfish party, which is not true. You heard from my colleagues that way back he made pronouncements that he cannot work with President Hakainde because he is Tonga. He refused to work with me because I was lost. Now, tribal politics is primitive politics. It's early Stone Age politics. In fact, The punishment or the sanction for people who propagate tribalism should be stiffer than what it is today. We are independent minds and we mean well for this country.
Ikelengi Member of Parliament Elijah Muchima has welcomed the Constitutional Court guidance on the interpretation of what constitutes a Grade 12 qualification as a minimum qualification for anyone vying for office of Member of Parliament. He has since urged politicians to respect the court's guidance to avoid unnecessary court appearances after the 2021 general elections. The Ikelengi lawmaker has meanwhile cautioned some politicians against maligning others as not having the necessary required qualifications when in actual sense they do have. Mr. Muchima has particularly expressed concern that some quarters of society are accusing former Finance Minister and currently UA Member of Parliament Tumbeko Msokotwane of not having a Grade 12 certificate. He asked how a distinguished Zambian man like him can achieve what he has achieved if he had no such qualification. Mr. Muchima has however warned those in government against abusing the Examination Council of Zambia for the board to get fake certificates. He has since advised everyone to respect the court ruling. You're watching Camnet News just now. We take a break. Still to come are more interesting stories. Stay with us.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You've heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
And why do you look so pale and busy scratching yourself?
Well, Amwandi, you know my skin is very sensitive. I've tried all the skin products and nothing seems to work.
Have you tried Oracle Pure Glycerin?
Oracle Pure Glycerin? What's that?
Just give me a minute.
Oracle Pure Glycerin gives your skin a youthful and healthy glow.
Ish, you're glowing. Don't tell me.
Yes!
I already know the secrets.
Oracle Pure Glycerin!
Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for that perfect skin.
Can I have that meal over there? And I really want that crisp, fresh apple taste from the garden. Can I have happy apple?
I think I'll have my big bite 2 meal with happy waziwaka. Give us your
enjoy an appetizing big bite meal with an happy drink of your choice. A meal is not a meal without an happy drink. And now introducing Happy in a can.
Zambia, your time of spiritual revival and awakening is now. Once again, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilua invites the nation of Zambia to a 2-day conference on the order of Melchizedek with Dr. Francis Miles. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Dates, 19th and 20th of March 2021. Time,
Friday and Saturday, 14 hours to 18 hours. Admission, free.
Make a date with us.
This is Camnet News. Thank you so much for staying on. A disability-based organization is concerned that the nomination fees that are being reduced by the Electoral Commission of Zambia ECZ do not specifically state the reduction that differently abled persons will be able to pay ahead of the 12th general elections. August 12th general elections. Born Short Livington observes that the reports were silent on the plight of the people with disabilities. Organization Executive Director Ntalasha Chisha has called on ECZ to clearly state if there was an omission or that is the case. He notes that the high cost of living and the effects of the COVID-19 on the local economy, electoral stakeholders must show preferential treatment to people who are differently abled. Mr. Chisha says persons with cross-cutting disabilities do not enjoy the same privileges with abled persons, such as access to job opportunities, education and health care, hence the need for them to be cared for.
Nomination fees that have been reduced by the Electoral Commission of Zambia do not specifically state the reduction that differently abled presidential candidates and members of parliament will be able to pay ahead of the forthcoming August 12 general elections. We have observed that the media reports were silent on the plight of the differently abled. We are therefore asking the Electoral Commission of Zambia to clearly state if there was an omission or that is the case. Considering the high cost of living standards and the effects of the COVID-19 on our economy, we wish to urge all electoral stakeholders, including the Electoral Commission of Zambia, government, political parties, civil society organizations, and the international community to show preferential treatment to people who are differently abled. It is important to state here that people who are differently able do not enjoy the same access to society on an equal basis with others. Their economic opportunities, education, and social life are experienced with enormous limitations.
In a related development, Utongati Disability Project Zambia is appealing to government to look into the plight of persons with disability between now and August. Project National Coordinator Honest Mwemba acknowledges that most voting facilities in the country are not user-friendly to people with cross-cutting disabilities, and Mwemba adds that his organization is racing against time in educating its clients on their civic and political rights. Meanwhile, John Mwetwa of Choma District says life is always a struggle to exercise his civic duty due to the situation he's currently in. In Choma, Municipal Council Acting Town Clerk Chembo Mangwato reiterates his call on accessibility of public facilities for all in the district.
In the coming years, we have continued as civil society organizations that represents the interest of persons with disabilities to appeal to the authority that be the government and the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Also, we know that NRC issues, it did not go well with them because they were not reached out in numbers. We know that voters registration as well, it did not go out well because again, they were not reached out in numbers, the persons with disabilities. But now again, we're making a final appeal at the final stage of this critical governance stage when it comes to voting. We are appealing to ECZ and we are appealing to the government to take keen interest when it comes to the persons with disabilities and the accessibility of the facilities of voting. I think we want to see each and every eligible Zambian to participate, be it with a disability or without.
Engineers and inspectors must ensure that the facilities are made available for the disabled persons to be able to access such kind of buildings. So even during the time of election, the Electoral Commission, obviously using all the councils who are the agents for issues of elections, do ensure that all manner of disabled persons are actually given a lot of assistance. For example, if a blind person comes to a polling station, the law allows that blind person is supposed to be assisted by a friend or a relative or a presiding officer to be able to cast his ballot. We do not have ballots that are in Braille, obviously. I'm sure maybe in future but I don't want to be a spokesperson of the Electoral Commission on the plans they want to do.
Lusaka Mayor Mao Sampa says there is need to put in place policies and priorities that protect their children. Mr. Sampa has observed that pupils are exposed to a lot of hazards while on the road on a daily basis, hence calling for their protection. He says there is need to ensure that roads near schools are well marked with road safety signatures, infrastructure as well. Mr. Sampa, who is also road safety ambassador, said this on Tuesday when he officially launched the road safety infrastructure improvement at Matero Secondary School. Among the road infrastructure improvements erected at the school include raised zebra crossing, rumble strips, foot pumps, bollards and signage. The program is being done in partnership with Vital Strategies and Bloomberg Philanthropist Partnerships for the Healthy Cities as their sponsors.
Everybody has a role to play. This includes governments, civil society, corporate entities, the media, road users, and the community at large. All of us are at one stage or another pedestrians, drivers or passengers, and a lot depends on how we exercise our responsibility at any given time. We must try to make people more aware and sensitive to these matters so that our society can move together towards a safer, healthier future. We must also put safe infrastructure in place for all road users across the city and across the entire country. As I conclude here, as Muzi by the Sikonda Kama, my man of few words, Sikonda action. Sikonda action, Lopika Kansima, Pianga, Doga Garbage, Nutumo Kama. Muklas Kurema assignment, Kuja exam, Toto Patoto. It is through such initiatives we take steps closer to achieving the goals of the decade of action for road safety. I'm also confident that together we can save lives on the road and give the children of Lusaka a better future.
Meanwhile, the Lusaka City Council is saddened with the continued vandalism of streetlights within the city, especially along MUMBI Road in Madras area of Kamwala. LCC Assistant Public Relations Manager Thelma Mbewe says the situation, if left unchecked, has a result to make the council lose a lot of resources.
Council has noted an increase in the number of street lights being vandalized around the city. The vice is more rampant along MUMBI Road and Madras area of Kamwala. It is unfortunate that this situation is happening right now because these are developments that the city has recently seen, and each individual needs to take responsibility for guarding these solar streetlights as well as the electric streetlights. The vandalism of these streetlights has unfortunately caused the streetlights not to work to their full capacity. So the local authority would just like to warn the unscrupulous people who are vandalizing these streetlights that once caught they risk prosecution. The local authority would also further like to appeal to the general public to be alert.
Still to come is international and sports news. Stay with us.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbanda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Dr. Bigron, musaibala komutienda ukuni gift na land. Uchitenkubeti uibise mojo wasaione. Oh! Mwina muchi, nakuletera njinga. Latest inarufesi gear na mawaipa.
Difficult, chidi ashia njinga. Liam 19 pendefcon. Transport, we got it.
Nanga phone for communication. Ipu sana chizungu. Yeah, you see what I mean?
It's a Camnet, difficult.
It's communication. We got it.
Indemoni! Powerful system ndimba X-Buzz.
Mufumile kukalale. Na mnaimo muli bakumushi. We got it. Yo Bikron, utola inoleta nchemfule mungani. Get you watch the post and change. 1, 2, 3, both of you. Kabala ngempang. Don't be stupid. We got it.
Zambia, your time of spiritual revival and awakening is now. Once again, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilua invites the nation of Zambia to a 2-day conference on the order of Melchizedek with Dr. Francis Miles. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Dates, 19th and 20th of March 2021. Time,
Friday and Saturday, 14 hours to 18 hours. Admission, free.
Make a date with us.
You're still watching Camnet News. In international stories, aid agency Save the Children says Islamist militants are beheading children as young as 11 in Mozambique's northern province of Cabo Delgado. One mother told the agency she had to watch her 12-year-old son being killed in this way close to where she was hiding with her other children. More than 2,500 people have been killed and 700,000 have fled their homes since Islamist insurgency began in 2017. The militants have placed allegiance to the Islamic State group. Another woman said her son had been killed by militants while she and her other 3 children had been forced to flee. The United Nations Special Rapporteur on Extrajudicial Killings described the militant actions as cruel beyond words.
Katantu avaria mujawe bana siti ana uruenchi we na teke emu hovaria mana hahia sana
wa msoma bara makisande kusinja
Allahu Akbar wengine po wakikaza kwamba mwanangu ni nsingana ndifuko akituyanga lawa mimi nikipita katikati kuna mashababi ikiwa usiku kuna mashababi wana wewe wanitanye keyo
vinu vyake havipo nyumba ipo ni mwenye hapa nyumba sina achipo chaniri nao ya sambi familia pia yake na nao.
This vast corner of Mozambique has basically been emptied out by terror. You get a real sense here of the scale of the conflict and also how quickly it's accelerating. This camp alone had about 60,000 people in it 3 months ago. Today, it's doubled in size. The situation here in Palma really is very grim, and you can see the frustration and the desperation amongst local people because there's simply no food, and what food there is incredibly expensive.
Very, very angry. I'm very angry. I have 3 days without eating nothing. And I'm here, but I don't get nothing.
As we flew out of Palma, we saw this multi-billion-dollar gas project. Mozambique is fantastically rich in resources, but very little of that wealth seems to get passed on. That causes resentment which Al-Shabaab is obviously exploiting. And in the meantime, people are still fleeing from the violence, a lot of them escaping by boat, heading to beaches further south. The horror stories that families are bringing ashore here are chilling. People are desperate, people are terrified, but they're also baffled by a conflict that seems to have come out of nowhere, which makes so little sense to so many people here. And this is a region that's known its fair share of conflict, of corruption, of inequality over the years, but Cabo Delgado has suddenly, in the space of 2 or 3 years, been transformed into this horrific conflict zone, a conflict that really nobody saw coming.
Well, that's it for international stories. Let's take our attention to sports news. The Chipolopolo have taken another step towards Group H Africa Cup of Nations qualifier as the local assemblage continues their work at the Edwin Emboila Stadium in Lusaka. Coach Mitchell and his technical bench have been running the rule on the local players, with some foreign-based players expected to start trickling in next few days. Zambia will face the Desert Foxes of Algeria at the National Heroes Stadium at 21 hours on the 25th of March before facing Zimbabwe away 4 days later. Chipolopolo are bottom of Group H with 3 points, while Botswana has 4, Zimbabwe 5 and Algeria 10 points.
You are a bit behind. You are a bit behind the coach. You are a little bit behind the coach.
Now, pass, support your pass, and hit the cone. Hit the cone. Stabilize with 4 passes, and then whatever has been there need to come in the game to check up.
Well, that's where we wrap it up for our news tonight. The headlines once again. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI says he cannot defame President EDGAR LUNGU because he respects him. UPND appoints Guy Scott as its chief political advisor. And PF Deputy Secretary General MUMBI PHIRI asks why police become numb against party cadres or officials breaking the law. In international news, Mozambique militants accused of beheading children. In sports news, Chipolopolo shape up for Fox's hunt. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, and it's coming from James 1 verse 12, and it reads, "A man who endures trials is blessed because he passes the test, and he will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him." That's where we leave it up tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. Remember to once again mask up and observe those social guidelines to stop the spread of COVID-19. Good night.